Hi traders, Mandy here from tradingpsychology.com.au, coming to you from my mom's beautiful balcony. So, as you know, I've been traveling for the last 3 months, and I was so lucky to be able to spend some time with some phenomenal traders and to live with them and to see how they live life and how, in neurolinguistic programming we say how you do one thing, you do everything, and to see how that really translates, their trading life translates into their normal life, and their normal life translates into their trading life. And so I want to start sharing some experiences with you again. And in case you're wondering why I'm not in my usual hat and t-shirt, tonight again I'm going to Luxembourg to have dinner with a phenomenal trader and to be able to speak to him about his trading mindset, his trading psychology, and how he became the trader he is, and really studying his mindset. That's pretty much what I've been doing for the last 3 months, and I just really, really enjoy it. So I want to share with you one experience of a trader who is going through divorce proceedings right now. So what happened was, about 7 years ago, his wife left him for someone else. Didn't want to have a bar of the kids, and he really brought the kids up, put them through school and so on. So divorce settlement is about to come, and he has been told he has to pay a few $1,000,000 to his ex-wife. And up to this point, he was trading like a world champion. He was trading really, really well. From his trading proceedings, he was able to build up a property portfolio and then build a solid foundation, financial foundation, not just for his retirement, but also for his kids in university and so on. And so when he heard that he has to pay several $1,000,000 to the ex, it just something in him snapped, and he could not perform for his life. And so I went there to work with him. I didn't know the whole story. I just knew that he wasn't performing well. And instead of staying for 2 days, I stayed for a few weeks because there was so much work to be done. Now, what happened? It was really interesting. When he started trading several years ago, everybody, we trading coaches, we say, when you have stress, when you go through separation, do not trade, because you're not able to perform with all the pain that's going on, all the stress of the separation. But with him, he still was able to perform like a world champion. And what was the difference was his intention. He had a vision, he had a why, he had a purpose of why he needed and wanted to trade. And it was to build a secure financial future for his kids, to build a secure financial future for his retirement, and to have a home, a really nice home that gave roots to the kids, and so that they knew they always can come home to him when they start going out into the world and living their own lives. And that is all suddenly threatened. When he received the letter from the lawyer that the lawyer proposed to do a settlement of several $1,000,000, what that means is he is asset rich, but cash poor, has enough money in his trading account, but if he uses that money to pay out, then he's killing the golden goose that was laying the eggs, right? And so it comes down to him having to sell the property portfolio to get enough cash to pay out the ex if the divorce is going to settle. Now, what's really interesting, the way he spoke about the divorce was exactly the same way he spoke about his trading. He experienced having to settle as unfairness. He experienced helplessness. He felt his lawyer wasn't fighting hard enough for him, and he felt that the fear of the future, that he couldn't do it. And the same communication that he had in his legal proceedings, he suddenly had about the markets. He felt the helplessness. He couldn't read the market anymore. He felt the unfairness when he lost money, even though he was analyzing the market correctly. It would look like he would say, I think the DAX is going up another 100 points, but then he would go short, or he would take his profits as at 10 points rather than the 100 points. He would have a stop loss to give room, a technical stop loss, but then he got so scared he would take his loss after 5 points, and then this thing rebounded. So, you know, the normal common behavioral patterns that we see in most traders that he did not show before that letter arrived. Now, the ex-wife is running a business and was ordered to send some statements through. But the statements were incomplete. There were some gaps. And so I said to him, it doesn't make sense to me because you don't have enough information as to the income of the other party. Why should you settle now? And that was also his frustration with the lawyer, because he says, she doesn't fight for me anymore. He spent like $200,000 for her already for the legal proceedings, but he didn't get the results that he was hoping for, and he felt she didn't fight for him. And you know, I could really relate to that, because when I went through a similar situation, I mean, it was nothing at stake on that scale like he has at stake. But you know, I also felt alone and unfairly treated. But the difference was that I had a lawyer. She was fighting for me like a lion, and he didn't have that. And you know, I wanted to give up so many times, but she didn't allow me. She said, we don't have enough information as yet to give up. Let's get all the information first, and then we still can say we settle. And I'm so glad that we didn't settle too early, because yeah, it showed that when the other party had to deliver all the information, that I actually had a chance to win the case, which in the end I did. But you know, the thing is with his lawyer, she doesn't fight for him. She's made her money. I remember my lawyer said, I have a beach house and nice cars because of the stupidity of people. And she says that openly, but she also, you know, as I said, she fought for me to make sure that I come out at the top. But his lawyer doesn't. You know, I said to him, she has her beach house already. Why should she keep fighting for you? She has given up almost. And so I could see why he was so helpless. But I also could see that how now he had to step in and take charge of the situation rather than relying on the lawyer. And so what was interesting was that the way he communicated about the legal proceedings was the same way he communicated about the market. He started saying things like, it's so unfair and there's nothing I can do and I'm going to lose everything. What's the point anyway? In his trading, it was same emotional experience. I can't read the market. What am I supposed to do? How am I going to make an income? He became a dick for a tick, as Tom Dante says so beautifully. So market goes up, he's like, oh, market's going up. Market goes down, you know, on the 1 minute, he was like, oh man, now it's dropping. And so his energy was going up and down with the market. It was even exhausting for me, sitting there with him in the same room. And what we needed to do, we needed to get back to facts and figures, to logical thinking. Because when we are in a stress situation, I said that several times, it's the amygdala that's taking over. And what we need to do, we need to be able to activate the prefrontal cortex. And if we were to make an MRI scan of my trader's brain, you would have seen that the amygdala, the emotional brain, the fight and flight, would have been lit up like a Christmas tree, and the prefrontal cortex just completely dark, nothing happening there. And so we needed to activate the prefrontal cortex again. That was my job. So I asked him to send a letter to his lawyer and to tell the lawyer that he's not ready to settle because there's gaps in the information flow and they don't have enough information to make a decision. And so he wrote this letter to the lawyer. It was like a long, big page. It was all about the unfairness of it, how his lawyer could give up on him, that it was not okay, and you know, the impact it would have on him because the kids would lose their home and their future. And so just a really emotional letter. And what we did is we cut this letter into 1.5 sentences. That's what I learned from my lawyer. Nothing emotional, facts and figures, guys. There's so much we can learn from lawyers as traders, the way they're thinking, the way they're focused on facts and figures. And so the letter, the whole big letter, went into 1.5 sentences. I am not ready to settle as yet because we don't have enough information in order to make that decision. Please make sure that the other party submits all the banking statements so that we can make a decision. That was all. Nothing else needed to be said. So look at trading. this trader, he couldn't think clearly anymore. And so it was like, oh, I think the market's going up. It should really go down because the data are so bad. And it was like just incoherent. Someone who talks incoherently like that, how did they create a property portfolio out of their trading? How did they perform in trading so well, right? And you can see, even if we were clearly thinking, even if we were structural thinking, if we were thinking in terms of consequences, when we get in such a stress situation, we experience the emotional, I call it a circuit breaker. To get back to the strategic thinking is incredibly hard, and we do need someone who helps us with that. And so what I did was I did the pattern interrupt. So every time he went into, oh my God, it's going up. Oh no, it's going down. I went into, don't be a dick for a tick. Don't be a dick for a tick. Tell me why. So for example, he was short the DAX, and then he's like, oh, so he was good in the money, and he's like, oh no, now it's going up again. And I said, don't be a dick for a tick. Tell me what's going on. And then by the time I finished the sentence, DAX just jumped back up, and he got out at a loss. And so what I wanted to train him was, because afterwards we went through and we said, what happened here? And I said, look, it hit your target. It hit the 300 mark, was 12,300. So why didn't you get out? Because all you did, you were saying, oh no, it's going up now. And your brain was not computing. By the time you got out of your paralysis, the market was already back up. And so if you had looked at the market and said, it hit my target, it hit that strong support because that was previous day something, or a moving average or whatever it was, you could have just clicked the button and out. Yeah? And so this is what we then trained. We trained to get him back to the strategic thinker that he was, because he is someone who knows how to make really good decisions. Otherwise he wouldn't have been able to, number one, perform in trading so well, even though he was going through separation, and number two, to build such a property, to have some nice properties. So if you are someone who has not yet learned to be a strategic thinker, well, that's okay. Just Google or put it into YouTube how to make good decisions or how to think strategically. It's just a different language that you can learn. It's nothing else. And this is, again, I put a tweet out saying and explaining that most traders that I see, they don't know how to think clearly. They have all these bits and pieces of information, but they don't know how to put them into framework. And I said, most traders, they could have a PhD in trading skill, in trading knowledge. But skill and knowledge is not enough. It's all theory. And so it goes back to when you look at people like Rolf and Moritz from Edgewonk and TradeSociety.com, who are so young and yet have so much life experience. That is a very different story than going into reading a book and then putting a tweet about the theory that you read. So, yeah, that's what I wanted to share with you. I hope it's useful for you. I have to go now because I'm going to Luxembourg tonight to meet this other amazing trader and to be able to share some more goodies with you guys. On that note, have a fantastic day.